Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside the gymnasium at Milford High School as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coet on the call as we enter into the final week of the regular season for the Milford boys basketball team. Tonight they begin night one of the third annual Scarlet Hawk Classic Tournament. And the Scarlet Hawks tonight welcome in a familiar foe in this tournament format in the Tantasqua Regional High School Warriors. And so again, the final week of the regular season is about to begin. Just 2 games remaining for this boys basketball team. And what a turnaround it has been for the Scarlet Hawks over the last few weeks. A team that not too long ago was on the outside looking in of the playoffs, needing a lot of victories and not a lot of time if they hoped to qualify for postseason play for the 3rd consecutive year. They were coming off of 4 consecutive losses to Oliver Ames, Attleboro, Mansfield, and Stoughton. Confidence was starting to dwindle in the team. The fan base definitely starting to get some nerves as to whether or not this team was going to pull out a playoff berth, but Milford making a statement, finding their best basketball of the year in these final days of regular season play. And the result has been now 4 consecutive victories for the Scarlet Hawks, all of them against very tough division opponents. Of course, going all the way back to February 6th with that memorable 45-44 win over Canton. They followed that up with a 59-51 victory over Foxborough, and last week, more good work at home early with a 58-36 rout of North Attleboro, and then finally closing out the week last week with their final game on the road in the regular season against the Sharon Eagles, and Milford going over 70 points in the game, a 72-55 victory over the Sharon Eagles, and that victory sealed the deal for Milford, officially punching their ticket to the MIAA playoff tournament for a 3rd consecutive season. And so as Milford rides into this tournament play high, they want to close out their regular season on a high note here as part of this invitational tournament ahead of the ultimate MIAA playoff tournament. And so we've already seen game 1 of this tournament, this 2-day tournament, take place earlier this evening. In that game, we saw Dedham take on Norwood High School, and Dedham was able to emerge with a 74-51 victory. So that took care of business in the early game, and now Milford and Tantasqua about to take on one another. And of course, the same format taking place here as we've seen in the previous 2 seasons of this invitational tournament. The winners of day 1 of the tournament will determine who will play for the championship on day 2, which comes up on Wednesday. So right now, Dedham will be one of those teams playing for the championship. Milford hopes to be the second. But as we mentioned, Tantasqua is a team that has participated in this Scarlet Hawk Classic tournament for all 3 seasons now. They have played Milford in all 3 years of this tournament. You go all the way back to 2 years ago, where these were the 2 teams that made it to that championship round. We saw a very entertaining ball game play out, a game in which Tantasqua had a good lead at one point midway through, but Milford was able to grit out a comeback and ultimately earn the victory to earn the win overall in the tournament. And then last year they matched up on night 1, a much more comfortable victory for Milford, so they have emerged victorious not only in the tournament overall, but specifically against this opponent in each of the previous 2 incarnations of this Scarlet Hawk Classic. We've seen this tournament move around to different dates on the calendar. The first year it was played to close out the regular season, then last year they decided to move it to a mid-season tournament played out during the holiday break, but this year back to the end of the regular season, so Milford an opportunity to see a couple of non-conference opponents before they head into the MIAA playoff tournament. So for Milford, again, they come into play overall with a record now of 10-8, 8-8 within league play, and taking on a Tantasqua team that has once again played very well in the Southern Worcester County League. They come into action tonight with a 13-5 record overall, but they are unbeaten within their league play, so they will in all likelihood take the Southern Worcester County League with that 13-5 record, 11-0 against their league opponents. They're also 6-2 away from their home gym, so they have played well whether they've been at home or on the road. This is a team that scores an average of 63.3 points per night, so a very high-scoring offense for this Warriors team. The defense has been giving up a decent amount of points as well, 58.4 points per game, which is a good deal higher than Milford's 54.3 points per game. But of course, that is a number that has been dropping over the last couple of games with some stout defensive performances for the Scarlet Hawks. So we should see an entertaining ball game take place between these two teams. They've built up a bit of a rivalry over the last few years. We've also seen Tantasqua build up a bit of a rivalry in some other sports too, as they've become much more of a familiar face throughout the 3 sport seasons. We've also seen this Tantasqua program in volleyball. We've seen them in softball. We've seen them in a number of different sports. So a good rivalry brewing between these two schools. We expect to see a competitive game here tonight as part of night 1 of the Scarlet Hawk Classic. It will be Milford taking on Tantasqua. We'll bring you the starting 5s and the opening tip of this game when we come back next. Stay tuned to coverage of Milford High School athletics right here on Milford TV. Right back inside the Milford gym. Time to get night 1 of the Scarlet Hawk Classic underway. Milford taking on the Tantasqua Warriors. Your starting 5s for these two teams. First for Tantasqua, it is Chase Freeland, Cameron Arello, Evan Couture, Hayden Peterson, and Drew Peretti. And for the Scarlet Hawks, it is Brendan White, Andrew Fraioli, Brendan Saylor, Caden Kelly, and Zach Tamaro. This is a starting 5 that Coach Seaver has gotten very comfortable with over this recent stretch. It has been this combination that has brought Milford by far their most consistent results of the season. So once again, this is the starting 5 unit for the Scarlet Hawks, as it is the Warriors who is able to control the opening tip. Happy to be bringing you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics on this Monday evening. For those of you tuned into us via our live streaming coverage, happy to have you with us on this President's Day, as Tantasqua was able to grab the early points. And then immediately Brendan White goes up for the shot and gets called for the offensive foul. So Tantasqua coming out with some early intensity. Bit of a quiet feel amongst the crowd here, getting underway just slightly earlier than anticipated for this game. An expected 7 o'clock tip-off getting underway about 7 minutes ahead of schedule, as Zach Tamaro now will start to bring this crowd to life as he knocks down an early 3, and that will push Milford right in front 3-2. Back up the floor for Tantasqua. They pull up for the quick jumper courtesy of Drew Peretti. Shot rims out, Milford a quick rebound, and now they'll set it up once again for Tamaro, this time offline with the shot. Kelly with the rebound, and Brendan White not close on his first shot attempt of the evening. And now Tantasqua pushing up the floor. A lot of quick releases so far on these early possessions. The miss there out of Evan Couture. Tantasqua able to keep the possession alive for another attempt underneath the basket. No good. Now quick feed to Kelly. Nice pass to Andrew Fraioli, cutting to the basket. And Andrew gets the points. Milford really trying to activate Zach Tamaro early. That pass was a little tough for Tamaro to handle, but did a great job finding Fraioli for the easy points. And now Brendan Saylor with another rebound. Saylor will slow down the action as we were at a breakneck pace on those early possessions. Milford with a 5-2 lead. Hear Coach Seaver now from the sideline saying, take your time. Looking for a good look, and they eventually find Fraioli once again, so that patience paying off, as eventually Fraioli was able to slip behind the defense. Now White gets the steal. Here's Kelly inside, gets the shot and the foul. So Tantasqua catching Milford by surprise in that first minute of play, but Milford has now found their footing, and a early 2-0 Tantasqua lead has quickly flipped to a 9-2 Milford lead, and that has forced a very early timeout for Tantasqua head coach Thomas O'Neill, as that stops the clock with 5 minutes and 47 seconds to go. 9-2, Milford on top. Still a long way to go in this first quarter. We'll be back with more action next here on Milford TV. Caden Kelly now an opportunity to finish off a 3-point play and push his team into double digits with still 5:47 to play in the first quarter. The free throw attempt rims out for Kelly. Now the Warriors shooting back up the floor. winless against Milford their first 2 times playing in this tournament, as now Brendan White gets himself in the passing lane, picks off that Tantasqua pass, and now the ball right back in the hands of the point guard, Brendan Saylor. Saylor trying to find a way to get around Drew Peretti. Sends the pass to Kelly, who now gets it inside to Fraioli. He gets blocked off this time. Now it's the 3-point attempt from the far wing for Tomorrow, which is no good. And the Milford student section has found their voice here with just under 5 minutes to play in the first quarter. Cut to the basket, count it for Chase Freeland. And so that breaks up the 9-0 Milford run. And a chance to tack on an additional point from the free throw line. Free throw misses for each side in this first quarter, but Tantasqua able to pull down the rebound after that miss, courtesy of Cameron Arello. Fresh shot clock for the Warriors with 4:42 to play in the first quarter. From the free throw line, Arello unable to get inside around Kelly, and so instead they'll settle for the outside look, which rattles through for Peretti. One of 2 Tantasqua captains and one of the 4 Milford captains on the other side of the floor. Brendan White losing the dribble, and Tantasqua able to finish off the turnover. Now White trying to draw the charge, does not get a whistle. Unfortunately for Milford, the shot no good from Couture. Midway through this first quarter, as Tomorrow finds some space, now gives to Fraioli. No finish at the rim this time for Andrew. So Tantasqua now has climbed back to within 2. Losing control of the basketball. Kelly trying to send a quick pass away from his backside, but it ends up back in the hands of Tantasqua, but now the Warriors will give it back. We'll see our first Milford substitution of this first quarter. Brendan White heads to the bench. A bit of a tough start to the night for the junior captain, and now it is the senior captain, Shane Cosquette, who takes over. His 3rd game since returning from the wrist injury that cost him the majority of this regular season. Here's Kelly, can't get position over Hayden Peterson, and now here's Tantasqua trying to get ahead in transition again. Off balance, one-handed shot, no good from Peterson. Still a 2-point Milford lead. Each side has led so far in this first quarter. Now, whistle stops the clock with 3:01 to play as Fraioli was trying to back his way inside. 2 fouls apiece so far through this first quarter. Quick release off the inbounds pass. Another one knocked down for Zach Tomorrow. He has been a completely different shooter in the second half of this season. Already with 6 points in the period. Tantasqua surveying their options from the corner. Now back out to the top with the shot clock winding down all the way to the basket. Drew Peretti ends up losing it, but Tantasqua maintains the possession and ends up with the points. I believe that was Jackson Hall. And now a tough pass for Milford. Cosquette tries to take it inside, but the whistle stops the clock. They'll call the foul on Jeremiah Dingwe. Substitutions on each side as Caden Kelly will take a seat with 2:11 to go. Joey Everett checks in for the first time tonight. Clean trip to the free throw line for Cosquet. The lead back up to 5 for the Scarlet Hawks. Now outside from 3, offline, and through a crowd, Fraioli able to pull down the rebound. Now ahead to Joey Everett, too strong as he goes to the basket. Thought maybe he had a little contact on the way up. No whistle from the officials. Now dangerous pass, makes it outside. Tantasqua living dangerously on this possession. A contested shot under the basket, no good, and Fraioli puts an end to that. Down to the final 90 seconds of the first quarter. Cosquet finding Saylor. Saylor makes a move around a defender, but then cannot finish. And commits the foul on the back end of the play. And that will send Saylor to the bench. Brendan White back out there for the conclusion of the quarter. Tantasqua able to break the Milford press. Now numbers up the floor. And the third chance finds its way through for Ethan Brunel. Too many offensive rebounds allowed that time. That's very uncommon for Milford over this recent stretch. Excellent rebounding. Cosquet could not quite find his form from outside, and Joey Everett trying to rip that ball loose. So in the end, possession will stay with Milford. Looks like a little confusion out on the floor. So right off the inbounds, Brendan White trying for the bank shot. White not looking terribly comfortable here in the first quarter. There's 40 seconds left to go. Tantasqua dribbles out of the near corner. Fans trying to help out the defensive cause. Down to 10 seconds on the shot clock. The shot tossed up by Jackson Hall was no good. And now Milford a chance to play for the final shot of the first quarter. 12 seconds left to go. Tantasqua trying for the steal. The ball back in the hands of Cosquet. Milford running out of time. Here's Brendan White. He tries to take it to the rack and ends up sending the ball out of play with 1 second left. So it will be Tantasqua with 1 second to send the ball back in play. They try for the home run pass that goes the length of the floor and out of bounds. And so now we'll go back down the other end of the floor for Milford. And so with 1 second left, we'll see the timeout called by the Scarlet Hawks. They will draw up a play here for the final second of the first quarter. We'll see what that play will be when we come back after this here on Milford TV. And so we will see what Milford has in store here for the final second of quarter number 1, leading 14-11. Brendan White on the inbounds, sends it to Tomorrow. Tomorrow gets a clean shot away at the buzzer, but it's long. And so that brings a conclusion to the first quarter of play. So Milford able to come out of it with the 14-11 lead. Saw some mini momentum swings over that first 8 minutes, so both of these teams bringing the intensity to the floor. Tantasqua not wanting to see a third consecutive defeat here in the Milford gym. Not a lot of defeats overall on the season for Tantasqua, but they have lost each of their last 2 trips here in the Scarlet Hawk Classic to Milford. We mentioned it back in the 2015 2015-2016 season, the inaugural year of this tournament. Milford and Tantasqua were the last two teams standing. Milford trailed 39-30 midway through the third quarter, but they were able to close out the period on a 19-7 run to take the lead, and they did not look back from there. It was a big night for then senior Dwight Anderson. And then last season, matching up in the opening game of the tournament, Milford was able to walk away with a 69-46 victory. Career night that night for Anthony Arcudi, who finished with 22 points. Caden Kelly also had a career high at that point in rebounds with 21. So you have to imagine that Tantasqua came into this matchup game planning for Caden Kelly's ability underneath the basket. Milford comes through with a quick turnover in the opening seconds of this second quarter. It sets up a long-range shot for Steve Sutherland that goes in and out. Sutherland, Kelly, Tomorrow, Cosquet, and White, the five on the floor to open the second quarter. Just a one-possession game as the shot from Ethan Brunell just missed. Now it's White, passes up the shot, gets it into Kelly. Kelly trying to body up against Hayden Peterson. An excellent job for Kelly, who comes through with his first points of the half. Now the quick release on the jump shot for Hayden Peterson, no good. Coach Seaver none too pleased with the rebounding effort he's seen out of his team so far tonight, really letting them have it from the sidelines right now, as Ethan Brunell knocks down the first free throw. Miss on the second free throw attempt. Caden Kelly secures the basketball. A two-possession Milford lead with 6:42 to play in the first half. Sutherland dribbles on the perimeter before giving way. We're trying to set up some decent outside looks for Steve Sutherland since he's checked into the game. Zach Tomorrow ends up getting his shot blocked on the way up. A deep three counted for Drew Peretti. He's knocked down a pair of threes so far in the half, and that pulls Tantasqua back to within one. So Tantasqua has refused to let Milford climb out to a big lead so far tonight. Cosquet, he'll release from three, no good. Tomorrow trying to save that ball from going out of play, might have come down on the end line. And with the stoppage in action, we'll see Coach Seaver again cycle in some new personnel. This has been more than we've typically seen from Coach Seaver lately. Another rebound chance for Tantasqua. Andrew Fraioli and Joey Everett back out on the floor, along with Cosquet, White, and Sutherland. So some pretty good size out there right now for Milford. Brendan White trying to get his first points of this half. Instead, loses control underneath the basket. They'll call for the jump ball. It will stay with the Scarlet Hawks. Over this last four-game stretch, we have typically seen Coach Seaver keep his starting five out there for a good long period of time in the first half. Instead, right now, mixing and matching with regularity. Coming down to 5 minutes to play in the half. Off the Milford turnover underneath the basket. Cameron Arello is able to put it home, and that flips the lead back into the Warriors' favor. A 6-2 run for Tantasqua to open this second quarter. But Milford able to answer back, courtesy of Andrew Fraioli. So the lead on Tantasqua's side only for a moment. emphatic response from the senior Andrew Fraioli, and that brings us to another timeout, stopping the clock with 4 minutes and 53 seconds to go. Milford up by 2. As we bring you live streaming coverage of Milford Scarlet Hawks athletics right here on Milford TV. Tantasqua sending the ball back in play with less than 5 minutes to go in the first half. Several lead changes so far in this opening half of tournament basketball. The tournament before the tournament. And there again, we see the rebounding for the Warriors. Off the miss, it's Cameron Arello who keeps it going. He has 4 quick points in this second quarter. And now all tied up at 19 as they test the long-range ability of Fraioli again. This time the miss. Caden Kelly's jumper no good. Milford has to find a way to limit these offensive rebounds that we've seen out of the Warriors in this first half. Brendan White able to knock the pass loose, but couldn't track the ball down before it went out of play. Chase Freeland, the ball handler for the Warriors, now in the hands of Couture. Can't find a lane to the basket. They'll release another long 3. And that one missing everything, which the Milford student section kindly lets Tantasqua know. So Milford again will try to reclaim the lead. Milford coming off of a game in which they absolutely exploded offensively in the early going back to their February 16th game against Sharon. Milford scored 45 points in the first half against Sharon. They've only scored 19 so far with just 3.5 minutes to play in the first half tonight, but Andrew Fraioli continues to be the shining offensive star for the Scarlet Hawks. Now with 9 first half points, as that one takes a couple of bounces in Tantasqua's favor. And now the runner to the basket, counted for Saylor as he answers right back. Brendan's first points of this first half. Zach Tamaro waiting to check back in on the floor. 23-21 Milford as the points keep flying back and forth. Joey Everett with the rejection on the shot from Drew Peretti, and the fans love that. And that brings some added life to the Milford crowd as Tantasqua tries to inbound with 18 seconds left on the shot clock. They just barely get the ball back in play. Good movement there, finding the man under the basket. Cameron Arello quieting the crowd with his 3rd bucket of this second quarter. Saylor now trying to float that one in, but a little offline. Brendan White finds the rebound and finally gets his first points of the half. 25-23 Hawks. White looking for another steal, then Saylor tries to get his hands in there. And you can see Joey Everett now starting to assert himself a little bit more on the glass as Brendan White gets taken down hard from behind. Able to get right back to his feet after that hard Tantasqua foul. White continuing to struggle on the offensive side. His shot is just not looked comfortable really from anywhere on the floor. Able to knock down the second of 2 free throws. Gives Milford a 3-point lead as we quickly come down to the final 2 minutes of the half. Peretti now against White. Gets closed off, sends it back to Freeland. Now the ball up for grabs. That looked like it got Brendan White in the face as it travels all the way back to midcourt. White a little bit slow to get to his feet. Now the ball loose again. Here's White with it all alone. Trying to time that layup, and he does, avoiding the defender. And we'll see if something like that gets Brendan White going. Milford's been able to extend the lead back out to 5 points. As Brendan Saylor gets called for another foul. Coach Seaver not liking the call. Morello at the line, who's had a very good second quarter. All 7 of his points have come in this period. And a chance to tack on one more. That's exactly what he does. Shane Cosquet back out on the floor after the foul that went against Saylor. Milford back around the perimeter, coming down to 10 seconds on the shot clock. And Hayden Peterson this time called for the foul against Kelly. Did not like the call one bit. Continued to grumble to the official after the fact. Under a minute to go in the half. Cosquet calling out the play. Thought about taking the 3. And again, Cosquet thinking about the shot and instead took too many steps. And gets called for the travel. Cosquet trying to fully rediscover himself offensively after missing so much time this season. Remember, he had an injury that kept him out of the season opener and came back, played just 3 games before suffering that injury. This is now his 3rd game back since then. And another miss from Peretti that once again gets the fans going. Down to the final 14 seconds of the period. Cosquet gets fouled. That shot nearly went in. Instead, a chance for Shane from the free throw line. That's where his 2 points came earlier in the half. DeMarco out on the floor now for the first time. As Cosquet makes both baskets and will now exit, replaced by Andrew Fraioli. So good height out there with the big 3 of Fraioli, Kelly, and Everett, along with DeMarco and White for the final 5 seconds now that are about to tick down. Tantasqua looking confused out there, needing someone to put up a shot. It ends up being Drew Peretti, who sends it off the side of the rim, sending us into halftime with Milford up 30-25. Quite an eventful opening half of basketball. A lot of ups and downs for Milford, giving up the lead on a few different occasions in that second quarter, but they're able to head into the break up by 5. So we will pause for the intermission, and we will be back with third quarter action in just a moment. Stay tuned to coverage of Milford High School athletics right here on Milford TV. Once again, we welcome you back into Milford High School. We're about to start second half coverage between the Milford Scarlet Hawks and the Tantasqua Warriors on this night one of the two-night Scarlet Hawk Classic Tournament, which will take us directly into the MIAA playoffs, the final 2 games of the season for the Milford Scarlet Hawks, who are now playoff bound, coming through with 4 consecutive victories in these late stages of the season. They lead this game 30-25, and an early miss for Tantasqua, and the rebound for Brendan White. Milford spent a little extra time in the locker room during that halftime. And despite going into the half with the lead, you could tell that Coach Seaver was a little frustrated at times with the effort level of his team out there on the floor. When you think about that 4-game stretch for Milford, as they send the ball back outside, the 3-point look, count it, for Shane Cosquet. He's tried his luck a couple of times from 3-point land so far tonight, that time able to find a stroke. And now Milford able to keep it going. A shove for Caden Kelly, no whistle, and Brendan White eventually comes through with the points. So 5 quick points on the scoreboard for the Scarlet Hawks. And now another turnover, so perhaps that extra talking to from their head coach made a difference in the half. And there it is from Zach Tamaro, another 3. And Milford bringing all sorts of intensity here in this opening minute and a half, and that forces a timeout from Coach O'Neill, as just like that, Milford turns it into a double-digit advantage. 38-25 now. So as I mentioned just a moment ago, all of the effort that Milford had to put forth in that 4-game stretch, games against Canton and Foxborough, 2 teams that continue to sit tied atop the Davenport Division standings with 16 and 17 wins apiece, each of them with 12 victories within league play. So that's a showdown that's going to go right down to the wire for who ultimately takes the Davenport crown. And then you also had tough divisional games against North Attleboro and Sharon, so Milford has been playing essentially playoff basketball for their previous 4 games to get them to the point where they're at right now, which is in playoff tournament competition. And so there was, of course, the possibility that Milford would have a bit of a letdown after doing all of that hard work. Focused in so well over those 4 games, but they look like that focus is back where it should be now, as Milford comes through with another steal, a circus play from Brendan White to keep that ball in Milford's favor, as now this one gets knocked loose to the corner, and Tantasqua is able to come away with it. Cosquet goes down hard on the back end of the play, as Caden Kelly gets called for the foul and is none too pleased afterwards. His fellow captain Zach Tamaro trying to keep the big man calm. An 8-0 run for the Scarlet Hawks to open this half. It finally comes to an end after that free throw for Cameron Arello. Arello ended up leading Tantasqua in points in the first half, with all of his points coming in the second quarter. Now, Tantasqua trying to force the turnover. They do, as that ball gets sent into the backcourt. Tantasqua sending the ball back in play from just in front of the scorer's table. The Warriors have barely been able to get their offense set up so far in this half, as Milford has been so active, forcing a flurry of turnovers here early. Clean on the jumper for Hayden Peterson. Tantasqua knocking the ball free, still loose as Kelly tried to go for it. And they will call Kelly for another foul. And Caden really struggling to keep his cool. An extra couple of moments down on the floor, perhaps for good measure for Drew Peretti after the foul was called. Managed to spring back to his feet. Kelly's still out there now after a couple of fouls. Tantasqua really going after the Milford senior. Good bounce going Arello's way as he keeps up the good work offensively. And Tantasqua cutting the lead back down to 8 after the early Milford surge. And so this is what we've seen for the majority of this game so far, is the swings back and forth. White on a nice arranged play to the basket, but couldn't finish. They'll send it back out for White. And they'll say that that ball took a bounce off the supports for the backboard. Tantasqua with the quick inbounds, racing up the floor, Jeremiah Dingwe. And the Milford bench now trying to bring some more life back to the 5 out on the floor, as some bad communication for Tantasqua results in a pass to nowhere. Peterson expecting Jackson Hall to be in a different spot on the floor. Lead standing at 8 as Fraioli finds Kelly. After getting some early fouls called against him in this half, Kelly now with a chance to go to the free throw line. He's 0 for 1 from the line so far tonight. Once again, if you're just joining us, it was Dedham that was able to defeat Norwood 74-51 in the first game of tournament play earlier this evening. That game took place at 5 o'clock. As Kelly misses the second free throw, Milford initially getting the rebound. And now White again trying to go to the basket. Gets fouled, and Milford will go right back to the free throw line. So again, that early matchup means that Dedham is the first team to guarantee themselves a spot in the Scarlet Hawk Classic Championship game, where they will play the winner of this game here tonight. Norwood High School will take on the loser of this game in an earlier afternoon matchup, again coming up on Wednesday. Both free throws good for Brendan White to up the Milford point total to 41. Floating shot falls through for Jackson Hall. The lead back down to single digits with 3:47 to play in the half. A foul taking place away from the play. Joey DeMarco makes a return to the floor as the inbounds pass goes to Fraioli. Fraioli sees his shot go halfway down and then rim out. Brendan White getting locked up for the jump ball. Saylor now looking for the inbounds. He lobs it into Fraioli, who gets fouled on the way up towards the rim. Fraioli had 9 points in the first half to lead Milford scorers. This is his first free throw attempt of the evening. (42-32). It's a 10-point lead as DeMarco knocks the ball loose from behind. Here's Kelly up the floor, tries to fire a pass into Fraioli. The ball deflects outside where Brendan Saylor tracks it down. Gets it back now up top. Now it's Kelly on the perimeter. Now finds DeMarco cutting to the basket. DeMarco's shot no good Brendan White trying to punch it in. The ball into the corner where it's tracked down by Fraioli. Another outside miss. Here's White with the turnaround. And after about 4 attempts, Milford finally cashes in. And you can see the hands clapping on the sideline for Coach Seaver. That's more the style of basketball he wants to see, with his team crashing those boards. And themselves an opportunity to up the lead to 44-32 with 2:55 to play in the third quarter. Putting up the shot that time is Evan Couture. Couture's first points of the second half. Back down to an even 10-point Milford lead. White taking his time, has the ball knocked loose. And they'll say that went on a play off of White. So a little bit too much time taken by White looking for a passing partner and ends up turning it over. Tantasqua able to get around Fraioli. Hayden Peterson finishing the job. As we mentioned, some familiarity brewing between these two teams, with this being the third year they've matched up. So we're starting to see maybe a little bit more juice to this rivalry start to build up. Quickly coming down to the final minute and a half of the third quarter. Peterson ends up finding Chase Freeland cutting to the basket. Freeland's first point since the first quarter. DeMarco trying to cut his way to the basket. Now it's White. He's able to get there. And another Milford steal. Here's Kelly trying to hesitate, release that shot. It just misses. Brendan White has really started to find himself now in the second half. It's up to 13 points overall in the game as Caden Kelly does some maintenance on the shoelaces before heading to the free throw line. See a couple of substitutions come onto the floor as well, with Cosquet and Everett poised at the scorer's table. Looks like Everett might be waiting to take over for Kelly after his second free throw. A nice bounce in for the Scarlet Hawks. Kelly now to the bench. Milford putting the pressure on in the backcourt. DeMarco trying to trap in the corner. Tantasqua able to advance. Hayden Peterson able to push it all the way to the rack. 6 points now in the third quarter for Peterson. He's also gotten under Milford's skin at times with his play down low. DeMarco, he gets rejected as that ball goes flying out of play. .42 seconds to play. A 50-40 Scarlet Hawks lead. Milford gets it into Shane Cosquet. Swings the pass into the corner for Brendan Saylor, who dribbles it in and releases a nice floating shot. It lands cleanly. And now Milford picks off the pass at midcourt, and it's Cosquet to Everett. Joey Everett now with his first points of the game. It ups the lead for Milford to 14. Before Brunel is able to answer. 13 seconds left in the quarter. Milford looking for one final shot. As the pass attempt gets tipped back to Saylor. The final 3 seconds, they find Everett under the basket. He's able to put it in uncontested. The Milford crowd loving it. Putting that lead back up to 14 and a chance for one more from the line for Joey Everett with 1.1 seconds to go. Everett can't finish it. And so that will be that. So a very impressive offensive half, all things considered, for the Scarlet Hawks. They take a 56-42 lead. So everything going Milford's way as we head into the final 8 minutes, which will begin right on the other side of this quick break. So stay tuned to coverage of Milford High School athletics right here on Milford TV. Back for the fourth quarter here in Milford. All of a sudden now a comfortable lead for the Scarlet Hawks, hoping now to finish this game out strong. As Milford tries for another rejection, they're able to get their hand in there. Back out on the floor with Cosquet and DeMarco, along with Everett, Sutherland, and Zach Tamaro, who comes down with the bucket. "12 points in the game now for Tamaro. Once again, all of them courtesy from three-point range, as Tantasqua gets called for the foul, and it looks like we will see a technical as well, as Coach Tom O'Neill has completely lost his cool on the sideline. You could see him toss something up into the stands after the foul was called. And he now takes a seat on the bench. Not anything you want to see. You want to see the players keep their composure out on the court. You certainly want to see the coaches keep their composure on the sidelines as well. So Milford now shooting the technical free throws, courtesy of Steve Sutherland. So Milford retains possession after Sutherland makes 1 out of 2. The lead up to 18 points as Everett loses control of the basketball. See how Tantasqua reacts as this quarter goes on after the frustration displayed by their coaching staff. Brendan White back out on the floor for Milford, replacing Joey DeMarco. Trouble for Tantasqua initially. They were able to finally get the inbounds pass into Freeland. And now another Milford turnover. White with the behind-the-back dribble before getting fouled on his way up to the basket. An opportunity to make it an even 20-point lead with still 6:56 to go in the fourth quarter. So Milford, who came into the game averaging 55.3 points per game, Tantasqua averaging over 60 points per game, but it's Milford who gets up and over that 60-point plateau first. Trying to keep that ball alive after the miss on the second free throw attempt, but it ends up on a play in front of the Scarlet Hawks bench. Joey Everett called for the foul, trying to jar that ball loose. Milford putting enormous pressure on. Now it's Cosquet pestering up against the near sideline. Underneath the basket, the bounce pass back out. The three-point attempt, no good. Two teams lock up for the jump ball. Jackson Hall missing from three-point range. Ends up being Milford ball. Matt Nickerson now into the game for the first time. Bring the ball up the floor. Here's Everett. Looked for the pass, instead released the shot. They'll wave that off. Steve Sutherland committing the foul away from the play. So I beg your pardon, it was 22 on the Tantasqua side. Austin Varney committing the foul, so it will instead be Sutherland shooting free throws. As the 22s go toe-to-toe. Start to see the teams that will be involved in the games here on Wednesday start to make their way to the buses. Dedham and Norwood sticking around to do some early scouting. Milford hoping that they will be the team to take on Dedham on Wednesday. Peretti knocks down the three. He had knocked down two in the first half, but has been quiet since. Nickerson in a scrum for the basketball along with Jeremiah Dingwe. Before the timeout is called, stopping the clock with 5:56 to go. So earlier we brought a couple of updates on what the standings look like around the Hockomock League at this late stage of the season. Most teams either done with their regular season schedule or concluding with some non-conference action this week. So we mentioned it already, Canton and Foxborough remain tied atop the Davenport standings. Canton at 16-4, Foxborough at 17-4, both teams with identical 12-4 records within league play. Then it is Milford in third place at 10-8. North Attleboro under 500 at 8-10. Stoughton at 5-13, Sharon at 4-16. Plenty of playoff teams over on the Kelly Rec side. Mansfield at 19-2, Franklin also at 19-2, Attleboro at 11-9, Taunton at 12-9. All four of those teams making it into the playoffs. Oliver Ames will be on the outside looking in at 7-13, as will King Philip at 3-15. So just 3 wins on the season for King Philip. One of those coming against this Milford team all the way back on opening day of the regular season. It's Fraioli. Kelly somehow able to track down that basketball. Can't knock down the shot. Up the floor where Tantasqua will release again from 3. The ball squirts free. It was last touched by Milford. After the miss from Drew Peretti, trying to get him going. As he sits on 9 points in the game. 5:25 to play in this fourth quarter, as Milford will effectively draw the charge. Kelly gets the pass back onto the floor to Nickerson. Guarded closely by Drew Peretti. Brendan White just able to handle that pass. Down low to Sutherland. Sutherland's seen a lot of the floor in this second half. Kelly releases the 3, which immediately gets the bench on its feet. Kelly can't knock down the long-range shot. Pass intercepted by Brendan White. Sutherland's shot no good. Ball up for grabs. And emerging with it is Jackson Hall. Less than 5 minutes to play. Milford student section trying to stay engaged. Dingwe to the basket. He gets fouled. Milford now will play with the trio of Saylor, White, and Nickerson, along with the two big men, Kelly and Fraioli. Fraioli cut off on his way to the basket, leaves it for Nickerson. That's a three. Matt Nickerson puts himself on the score sheet late with the three-point attempt. Count that shot for the Warriors. A chance for more for Jeremiah Dingwe. It's his first points of the game. Andrew Fraioli back to the bench. Milford now with a much smaller lineup out there with the four guards along with Kelly. The lead at 15 for Milford, under 4 minutes now to go. And miscommunication between White and DeMarco. The miss down the other end. Now looks like we will see Colby Pyers check into this game in the late stages. Milford looking for win number 11 overall on the season. A chance to finish the year at 12 victories if they can take care of business in their home tournament. Well on their way to a victory here, allowing them to play for the championship yet again. Pyers right into the game, trying to knock down the shot. Off the back of the rim. Tantasqua speeds up the floor. Bit out of control, and they turn it over. Coach Seaver with some extra instructions for the sophomore Pyers out there on the floor. Seen some sporadic action throughout this regular season. We've seen him a couple of times earlier in the year in a starting role. You look up and down that Milford bench. Coach Seaver has had an opportunity to mix and match more so this year than he has in any of his previous 3 seasons. Look at some of those faces tonight. Cam Falcon, who has seen a good deal of action here in the second half of the season, has not been utilized at all tonight. A lot more out of Steve Sutherland in this game this evening. So it's such a weapon for this Milford coaching staff to really deploy their pieces as they see fit. This is a team that can mix and match with any team in their league or in their playoff bracket. Should have a clearer picture by the end of this week of what that playoff bracket will look like for the Scarlet Hawks. Operating out of D2 Central. Will there be a home game in the Scarlet Hawks' future? It's an outside possibility at this point, depending on how these final 2 games unfold. It looks like Milford has a win within their grasp here tonight against Tantasqua, up 67-53. Which again, you look at these matchups against Tantasqua. Now 3 of them in the last 3 years. Each season, Tantasqua's come into this tournament with a very solid overall record. But Milford's been able to hang large point totals on the Warriors each time they face them. 69 points in the win 2 years ago, 76 points in the victory last year, and now up to 67 with 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go. So once again, these hometown fans have had a chance to see a high offensive output in the Scarlet Hawk Classic Tournament. Free throw miss for Tantasqua. Sailor back into the game. We're dishing off to Pyers. Joey DeMarco also out there, so Milford continuing to mix and match. Kelly and Sailor, the only starters out on the floor right now. As Kelly can't find DeMarco with that pass, it gets intercepted by the Warriors. And now the release from Peretti. 4 threes now in the game for Peretti as Sailor comes right back up the floor with the patented up and under move, which he has displayed so often this season. Peretti refusing to give in these final minutes, continuing to play hard, which is what you want to see. Points, a chance to make it 15 from the free throw line, and a chance to cut the deficit down to 10. It was up close to 20 earlier in this quarter. But Milford taking the foot off the accelerator with the big lead. Less than 2 minutes to go. Brendan White back out on the floor now for the Hawks as the ball gets knocked free. Another turnover for Tantasqua. Right back in the hands of Peretti, who now dishes off as you see a hard collision between Joey DeMarco and Drew Peretti, and you can see DeMarco a little bit shaken up, checking for blood around the mouth. He was able to get right back to his feet, but the coaching staff will bring him to the sidelines. A lot of toughness shown by DeMarco, wants to stay out there on the floor despite taking that hard impact. 69-59, less than 30 seconds to play. Excuse me, 90 seconds to play. They're taking their time, setting it up for White. First time no good, second time gets a nice high bank off the glass. And Milford now crossing into 70-point territory for the second straight game. Their single game high. You have to go all the way back to their first victory of the season, scoring 79 points in a victory against Hopedale. Free throws now going the other way for Tantasqua's Austin Varney. This on the Tantasqua side, Kelly with the rebound. Milford now will leisurely dribble up the floor as we're about to cross under a minute to play in the game. Danny Corsini now on the floor for the first time. And more substitutions on the way should time permit. A high feed to Fraioli as the whistle now stops the clock with 47.8 seconds to go. As we see a trio that will draw plenty of cheers from the Milford crowd if they get onto the floor. Cam Falcon, Chappelle Feaster, and Dom Schofield waiting to check in. As Fraioli misses the first shot. And so here come two of the three. Falcon will replace like Caden Kelly and Brendan Sailor will be the two that head to the bench as Feaster and Falcon come onto the floor. Fraioli makes the second shot, and now here comes Schofield, and the fans love seeing the freshman out there on the floor, the 6'4" freshman. Count the bucket for Tantasqua. That pushes the Warriors over 60 points. So the defense, not exactly what Milford would have liked it to be tonight, allowing over 60. And Schofield gets it into Feaster now. Here's Falcon. Well, we see a Falcon three here in the late stages. A lot of youth on the floor right now for the Scarlet Hawks. Particularly with Schofield and Pyers. There's Pyers releasing the shot offline. Schofield trying for the rebound. It's off his hands and goes out of play. .6 seconds left as Tantasqua lets the ball roll out across midcourt. Picked up by Peretti. He'll release the long three. And Drew Peretti, who has had quite a fourth quarter, 12 points in this fourth quarter alone for Peretti. And that forces a timeout with 12.3 seconds left, making this game a little bit closer, certainly, than Coach Seaver would have liked. Seems like it's been a battle between Coach Seaver and his team throughout this night. With a victory imminent, just 12.3 seconds away, you can see Coach Seaver still not pleased. The effort level has been very on and off with his team. Tantasqua selling out for the steal, and eventually they commit the foul against Cam Falcon. Clock stopped with 9.8 seconds left as Falcon heads to the line. Then after a couple of bounces, Cam Falcon gets the free throw. Getting on the score sheet here inside of the final 10 seconds. Two clean shots for Falcon. Tantasqua up the floor. And right back to Peretti. And this time the shot offline. Pyers with the rebound, and that is your ball game. 74-65. Milford once again is able to defeat the Tantasqua Warriors for the third straight time they match up in the Scarlet Hawk Classic. And once again, it is a victory for Milford over the Tantasqua Warriors. So it will be Milford who moves on to the championship round of the tournament, where they will take on Dedham High School. Tantasqua will move on to the consolation round, where they will take on Norwood. So Milford will play the late game on Wednesday, so it will be a 7 o'clock tip-off between Milford and Dedham. Milford TV will be here on hand for the coverage, so make sure you check out that game on Wednesday, as that will officially conclude the regular season. It will be senior night for the Scarlet Hawks, so it should be a good one. Can Milford win their home tournament for a third straight year and send themselves into the playoffs on a 6-game winning streak? We will find out on Wednesday. In the meantime, a big thank you to our Milford TV crew on hand for the game tonight, our director Rob O'Keefe, and our camera operators John Giacomuzzi, Malcolm Zale, and Patrick Arapi. And I am Tim Coet. Your final score, one final time, 74-65. Milford able to defeat the Tantasqua Warriors. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.